All righty, it's Thursday, 2nd of November, 2017. Donovan Sadiq, Sean Fortine is to the right, and we got a lot of information and stuff for you guys going. This episode that we're talking about today is called The Political Fix. If you guys been watching our Facebook page, a lot of stuff going up there, a lot of editing, a lot of stuff that we're putting behind the scenes. Thank you for you guys that are liking the page, share. This whole program of what we're doing is trying to get information out and get it to you so that you could be an informed voter, person, whatever it is. So thank you guys again. And also remember that what you're seeing right now is actually our live podcast. Our main thing is a podcast because I think podcasts are better because it makes you think because you're hearing what we're saying versus seeing what we're doing and what's behind us on the screen and all that stuff like that. But there are some people that are visual, and we're trying to get those guys too. But we're going to get you the information as fast and as quickly as possible to keep you guys updated on what's going on in the Inland Empire. I'm Donovan Sadiq. I'm the Inland Empire Informer, and we have Sean Fortine, who's going to go ahead and start us off and give us an update on what is going on. And I want you guys to listen to this because this sounds eerily familiar about what is going on in the Inland Empire in the city of Moreno Valley. So, Sean, take it away.
Well, in light of Ido Benzivi and Highland Fairview's new push to invite corporations to work on or build on his property, what a lot of people locally don't realize is that he is currently mixed up in a major bankruptcy with his brother regarding a hospital in Tulare. And right now, the way that company is run, a judge just basically said that the judge told the Tulare hospital that they have the right to breach the contract.
Right, disband.
Yeah, and so now that hospital had to temporarily shut down to avoid all kinds of state fines and having before the state shuts it down,
and it can't open up again, or it'd be harder to open it up.
Yeah, but now they're it's going to be shut down until they can find a competent administrator and company to administrate it. But this has gone on for a while. First off, Ido Benzivi originally wanted to was quite put his name out there. Like if you look up the INYO register in January 9th to 2016, his name is mentioned right along with Benny Benzivi, the CEO of healthcare. What you call it? HCCA. What's the full acronym?
I can't remember, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, HCCA was the company that was running the Tulare hospital, and in 2016, there's an article that says that Benny basically came out of nowhere, and
of course,
and sounded really good.
Sounds like Traveris.
And then Ido's name was with them, and then they admitted that in this article that there were some unanswered questions about this guy's background, but the hospital approved his company to run it anyways. And there were eventually complaints that Benny Benzivi and HCCA were buying off this newspaper to run friendly stories. But in other news, eventually the Valley Voice, another newspaper up there, had a problem where they ran a negative story, and a lawyer by the name of Bruce Green, who was working for HCCA, sent a cease and desist letter, and he tried to make them pull that newspaper from print that day, claiming it was defamation. But the Valley Voice got a lawyer that said, no, it's all good, go ahead and run it. But the thing is that Bruce Green is also a real estate lawyer that works with Ido Benzivi down here for Highland Fairview, and he was working to help develop the failed Aquabella project.
Right. Only gets better. It only gets better here. So.
Yeah, and at some point, within like the last, I believe, yeah, it would have to be in the last election cycle, that Benny Benzivi spent a lot of money campaigning to stop a bond to develop a nearby hospital that's called the Kaweah Delta Hospital. He wanted to get people on that board and put money into a campaign to stop the bond that would have developed it. But luckily he failed, because now the Kaweah Delta Hospital is taking on all the patients from the closure of the Tulare Hospital that
Thank God.
the
What a
Benzivis
blessing.
were running in the first place.
Yes, because, I was thinking that if they closed down Tulare, what was going to happen to those patients? And I know that, it's sometimes it's hard if you have a medical emergency to change doctors or to change, it's just a nightmare for those that have loved ones that need healthcare. So, sorry.
Yeah. So, why anyone? I think that, well, first off, I think Ito's ideas are delusional and idiotic to begin with. But right now, he needs to quit
Destroying
He
communities.
needs to quit worrying about that warehouse project until he gets his act together with that hospital.
Mm-hmm. But, the sad thing is people just aren't doing their homework. They're not listening to this show, or they're not telling their neighbors, if they are listening to the show, what this man is really about.
Yeah.
It has been over 5 years now, just about 4 to 5 years now. And WLC's passed and all this other stuff has been going on. Where are the jobs? I've been waiting 5 years to get a job.
Yeah, I don't know. But actually, I take that back. He can't do anything about the hospital now because the judge basically said, "You're an idiot, go away."
Yeah, get the hell out of here. Smart judge.
Yeah, but I still have concerns about why HCCA, why Benny Benzivi was offering loans to he was opening lines of credit to offer loans to HCCA, but not paying the hospital. So there was a search warrant, and there's some criminal investigations going on with HCCA and the Benzivis right now. So
Wait, is it both the Benzivi or just Benny?
Well,
yeah, it would be both, because Ito's part of that.
Yeah, Ito has financial ties to it, so
right.
he'd be mixed up in it too.
Wow, another investigation.
Even if all the investigation is up in Tulare, Ito's still
mixed up.
Got
in
financial records that are going to be investigated.
Crossed in, right? Wow, what a. Go ahead.
I mean, if he's willing to. It's just alarming that if he's willing to do that to a hospital, what's he going to do with the warehouse project?
What's he going to do with the community? Well, he's not going to do anything with the warehouse project because, like I said, this is just a money scam to increase the value of his property so he can sell it off and rent off part of the property. Like I said, this guy has no successful that I've researched, and I've been researching this guy for 5 years, and I do claim a little bit of research knowledge. I did go to college several times, so I do know how to research things, and I can't find any traces of business acumen or success with the Bendizi brothers.
Well, he's got the Skechers, but the thing about Skechers that when that project was finished, there was all kinds of leads.
But it's not. But it's not finished. That's what I'm saying. The project never finished. See,
well,
people
even phase one,
right?
He got phase one done, but there's still all kinds of
liens and stuff against
unpaid bills and stuff.
Right.
And then you got this mess up in Tulare, and you've got like 30 years worth of other projects that haven't materialized.
Yeah, he has no business acumen whatsoever. And people say, well, he did get phase one, and like you said, but see, when you are attested to do a job, at least from my understanding of it, if I'm slated to build 3 phases of a project, that project is not finished by definition until all 3 phases are done. So when people try to give him credit for, I'm bringing a Skechers here, the project's not finished. So you're a failed businessman.
And it doesn't seem like Skechers is in a hurry to finish the phases and finish working with
right,
them.
and I guess he wants to bring in another Skechers because that's all he's halfway.
And where's he going to get all the water to have all this water and make the project environmentally friendly?
Oh, well, he's got bought politicians. And, what water? You don't need water. Like I said, you just save jobs.
He wants to put, he's got all these plans that show water all around the property, all these plants. Sometimes some of his concept art looks more like some of that concept art that NASA did in the 70s and 80s for
right.
long-term space stations.
Right, long-term space station, the space shuttle ideas and stuff like that. How it's going to be, they show the space shuttle with the space station.
Yeah, and the space station was like a big tube that spun, and people could live there, like families could live there for years. And that's basically what a lot of his artwork looks like, and none of it's materializing. And
not one bit. And like I said, I don't believe this man has a business acumen. What is it going to take for the residents of Moreno Valley specifically and the Inland Empire to realize that this man is a con artist?
I don't know, but then I guess when the monorail fails, and it plays out just like what happened in The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to need an elevator to nowhere, so that'll be our next big project. And we have to laugh at this because I'm going to tell you people, I have to laugh because if I don't laugh, I'm going to start crying. Yeah. Because this was a very awesome city at one time, and to see it the way it is now, it is just appalling to me.
Yeah, it used to have, in the late 80s and early 90s, before the 92 recession, it had great reviews. It
was the place to come to live.
Yeah, the LA Times and New York Times said that the city had great promise.
Great potential. It was the place to live. It was at one time the fastest growing city in California, And
now we've got, just like the Benzies tried to buy off hospital administrators, board members up in Tulare area.
Same playbook.
Yeah, they've got them down Moreno Valley. You got people that they don't think for themselves.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, the sad thing is, Sean, I just don't understand why people are not upset that a person who is not a resident of Moreno Valley, people say he's a resident of Moreno Valley. He does not live in the city of Moreno Valley. He lives on the outskirts. In the county.
Yeah, he lives on county land.
He's outside
land. The borders of the city.
So how can a person who is not a resident have so much influence on what happens in our city? And that's what bothers me about it. And then my understanding is he's not even a citizen of the United States.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying you have to be or whatever, but how can a person who's not even a citizen of the United States have so much influence over people who are citizens? It's just crazy to me.
You shouldn't. Until he is a citizen, he should not be making campaign donations
and all that other stuff
in politics.
If you want to go back to Laguna Niguel and where you live, Mr. Benvizi and Michelle Dawson and all you people that are taking these six-figure salaries, go back there and create havoc over there. But until you become a resident, you shouldn't be allowed to become havoc over here. But
I really didn't like the idea of starting off with more warehouse.
Warehouse stuff. But it ties in.
But this is some new information that I've gotten from contacts up in that area.
Yeah. And it's scary, and I feel bad for those people. And I even feel even worse because this is a hospital that is supposed to help everybody in one phase of their life or another.
Yeah, this was a hospital. Yeah, emergency room. It had other units. I believe at one time this was something like a 112-bed hospital, and it's closed because of the Benzivis.
Right. And a very, very, very scary thing, but go ahead.
And also, as speaking of Benzivi's financing, we've got these people that we've got on the city council now. In case you haven't heard, there's been a bit of a spike in crime lately.
Yes, that's something we can need to get into.
Some property crimes, more mailbox thefts,
of course.
Some armed robberies and shootings.
Yes, more deaths as DUIs and things that have spiked in the city of Moreno Valley.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And our mayor seems to be asleep at the wheel, and I haven't heard any statements from any of the city council members.
Of course not.
Even Marquez.
Of course not. These are all the same people. I've been saying this from day one. I don't care who you elect. All these people are in the same genre. They're in the same boat. They get up there. They get along to get along. Again, I can only speak on my councilman because that's the one I watched the most closely, former councilman LaDonna Jimson. She did some great things in the city or in the district. But here's the problem. She relied on me to give her most of the ideas. So why did you even run if you don't even know what's going on in your own district? Because she was put up there to just get along, to get along. She's not there to solve. These people aren't there to solve problems. They're there to enrich their pockets.
They cut the police force to the point where the police can't necessarily, I don't like it when we disclose exact numbers of
of
police,
officers and things like
but
that.
basically, for all practical purposes in the city, you're on your own for pretty much any problem until it becomes like a life-threatening emergency when you need the police right there.
And even that,
get there right away.
Yeah, they're not going to get there right away. You're most likely dead, or your loved one's most likely dead, and the criminal has fled.
And so when Gutierrez was a council member, he didn't exactly help matters when he slashed the law enforcement funding.
And Baca as well.
Yeah.
So, like I said,
and now it's gotten to the point where we really need the city to step up and work with the sheriff to create a licensing system for concealed carry. But there's no way they're going to do that.
No, there's no way they're going to do that.
It would be too bad for their friends and relatives' businesses.
Right. The sad story in this aspect is that Chief Altaveras is doing the best he can with what he is allotted to do. I give him a lot of credit. I have no problem with Chief Altaveras. Kudos to you guys. However, with the money that we use to promote a non-existent WLC that will never be built and the money that we give to this developer, how many police officers additional could we get the sheriff of Riverside to assign to Moreno Valley is my question. Maybe 3 or 4. I mean, we possibly.
That would help. But even if we just had those 3 or 4 available to randomly target the parolees and and people on probation, I mean, because for one, those are the people that we actually do have a list of. We do have a list of people that have been causing problems lately because they're all when they're on parole or probation. Yeah. And they do not have any right from search and seizure because they have been convicted. They've been
convicted, and they've also signed an agreement that they would do.
Yeah, it's either sign the agreement or
stay in
spend
jail.
Time in jail.
Yeah, stay in jail.
So these people can be searched whenever they want. They can be pulled over whenever you feel like.
And they must comply.
Yeah, and if they don't like it, then they get arrested.
Right.
And so since it's frequent common that they can't actually stay clean and do exactly what they're supposed to do. So if we had cops that randomly busted them, a lot of these people that are on parole or probation would find somewhere else to go.
Somewhere else to go, exactly. And
I've said a few times about traffic enforcement that traffic enforcement wouldn't be such an issue. Like I've said, we could use the traffic cops, but not to write tickets. Basically, use them to. The way the law works is that the cops can pull you over for any slight violation. If it's illegal for even a little infraction, like a tail light or whatever, or the seatbelt, they can pull you over.
Sure, driving is a privilege, not a right.
And if the cop pulls you over and doesn't see anything odd, then go away on a warning. And then basically,
it's cops' discretion. Right?
Yeah, but just use the traffic cops not to write traffic tickets, but just to fish for
felons.
People that are doing something dirty.
Absolutely. It's a good idea, but at the same time, I can see some of the cons of that. But I said, you got to try something.
The cops are limited in what they can do. If they pull you over, they have a right to check you for weapons. But if they see anything odd in your car or they find anything odd on you, then they can look a little more as they have probable cause. And most people, the average citizen, wouldn't have any probable cause to look further, and they'd be on their way. And that would, in all fairness, even black people wouldn't.
Well, most people that don't know their rights. I was stopped at a DUI checkpoint in San Diego or Escondido, and the cop stopped me and asked me a question, which I refused to answer. Yeah. And I said, "Well, according to the Constitution, I have a right to free travel. You're impeding my travel. May I go, officer? May I go?" After arguing with the guy told me to go to secondary, staging. He says they're doing a border check or wherever it was, DUI check, whatever. And I not that I refuse to comply. The thing is, though, because I know my rights and I haven't been drinking, haven't done anything. I'm for DUI checkpoints. Don't get me wrong, but No. After I'd say about 45 minutes, I was eventually allowed to go about my way. But because, like I said, a lot of people don't know their rights and they automatically consent just because you have a badge. And I'm not, Chief Altaveras, I know you're listening to this. I'm not trying to break your hustle, but having a badge does not give them special powers. So if you don't know what you're doing when you're talking to the police officer, please don't try what I just said that I did. Know what you're talking about, know what they can do. But it's a slippery slope. It's very slippery.
I suppose. I don't think the police would have a whole lot of time to really toss someone's car if they don't see anything right away.
Right.
They don't have time to pull out to get a canine unit.
Yeah, and do all that, and that's why that's probably most likely why they said just go ahead, because it's obvious that I'm looking for a confrontation type, because obviously I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So. And obviously, I'm not drunk if I'm quoting California statutes. And, one of the main things he said was, I remember the officer is female. She said, well, our policy is this. Policy is not law, ma'am. That's not law. She goes, well, do you have special permission? And I said, yeah, I have special permission. She goes, well, can I see it? I said, everybody can see it. It's called the Constitution of the United States. I have a right of life, liberty, and free access of whatever. So you got to know what you're doing. So it's a very slippery slope. But back to what you're saying, we got to try something, because a majority of people will comply and just they want to get along, and that'll help get some of these guys off the streets.
Yeah. And if there's nothing, if the cop finds someone that isn't on parole or probation, and they don't see anything odd, then.
Yeah, on your way.
Send them on their way, and find
something else to do. Right, and a quick disclaimer: when you're in the car, the cop has every right to ask for your registration and your ID. You cannot not say, I was walking, the cop asked me for my ID, and I didn't do anything wrong. I could just go tell him to fuck you and keep going. But when you're in the car, when you signed your DMV registration, you waive that right. When a cop asks you, you must comply with that. That is a California law. So I just want to put that out there for you guys that think you're going to go out there and do something stupid. Don't do that if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, a lot of those videos about. It seems like a lot of people think it's okay, bro. I got this on video as a get out of jail free card and do it.
Yeah, no. Not in all cases, but for some reason, law enforcement, they get really jumpy when they're on camera. And then when you go up to some of them, and I've had things like this, and I'm going, having an encounter with the guy, and I just say, "Excuse me, is your body cam on?" "Oh, no, this is just a casual encounter." Well, shouldn't it be on? You're on duty. You're in uniform. I don't want to be killed. I'm a black man.
If you've been stopped and detained for a ticket or questioning or whatever, then yeah, that is official business.
Well, what I'm saying is, what is the point of having a body cam if the officer has control of when it comes on and off? To me, it kind of defeats the purpose of the body cam, because to be honest, if you're my partner and we say, hey, we're going to pull this nigger over and knock his brains out, we don't even click the camera on until after the incident. Hey, we didn't see the whole camera, and I was joking with a friend of mine when something like that would go down, or let's say the cop is getting beat, and it was filmed. Oh, well, you didn't see the whole video. You got to see the whole video. You didn't see what happened prior. But again, my point is, just because you have a badge does not give you special privileges. So, but no, if you're going to get involved with a police officer, you better know for damn sure what you are talking about.
Yeah, but we kind of got off a little bit of a tangent here. But right now, we don't have enough cops for them to bother doing that. But on the other side, we don't have enough cops for them to stop criminals from running amok.
Or investigating public officials in their capacity of stealing and doing this. Or
finding stolen cars, or tracking down whoever's responsible for the broken mailboxes.
Right, and a lot of break-ins in people's homes. I mean, it's very sad and unfortunate. People work hard for what they've gotten. I mean, a lot of us don't have a lot, and when it is stolen and you feel violated, and the police, all they can tell you is, somebody's whipping my ass, and all they can tell you is, well, go on our website and report the ass whipping, and then we'll get back to you. It's very sad when you have to do that.
Yeah, and then on top of that, Did you hear about that law that Jerry Brown just wrote?
Yeah, where he waives the.
There's no more mandatory minimums for using a firearm in a crime.
So is that a good thing?
Well, we've already got criminals being let out early, and now they can.
Right.
Now they use now.
Now there's no more mandatory minimum.
Yeah, now a DA can give them a easy plea bargain, so the DA gets to chalk up another win.
Right, and then that violent felon is on the streets again.
And then the violent felon only does like a year or two or
right,
whatever.
And he's back in Moreno Valley.
Back on the streets in places like Moreno Valley where
you have a lot of warehouses and they can hide out.
Where they dump the criminals and city council doesn't bother to fund the police department
at all. So
I don't know. It seems to me like the Democrats the California Democratic Party seems to be digging themselves into a hole.
Well, what I think it is when you have these Democrats that are 70 and 80 years old, I think they're cashing in their chips and they just don't give a damn. That's what I think is happening and then these younger Democrats are just falling in line with it because they're saying, man, there's so much graft here. Man, this is we're in the trough of we're the super majority here. We could give ourselves raises and they don't give a damn. They really don't. Leave it to the cities to decide what they're going to do.
Yeah, but between crime and the new gas tax, I think
oh my God,
I think the Democrats have made it pretty hard for themselves come 2018, at least in this state.
Yeah. Oh my God, without a doubt, because that decision should have gone to the people to vote on.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't care what party you're in; these are all the same people.
And also, last year, the local Assemblywoman Melissa Melendez wrote a law that would make any theft of a firearm a felony. And keep in mind that this bill got support from both the NRA and the Brady Center.
Okay.
And Jerry Brown vetoed it.
Not surprising. He's cashing in. He's done. Matter of fact, I think Jerry Brown has property outside of California. I don't think he has any intentions to stay here in California after his term is up. I think he's going to move to Arizona or New Mexico or someplace he has outside of here. Maybe back to Texas. Who knows? But what else you got for us?
This one's a little bit, going to be a little more controversial.
No, go ahead, man. We're here for the controversy.
But it does apply locally.
Okay.
And a couple of days ago, Planned Parenthood started advertising a campaign to encourage the black community to get abortions, saying it's safer than childbirth.
Rather than abstinence or or pills, birth control pills. Let's just get abortions.
Yeah, but the thing is that the CDC denies that any comparison of the statistics.
Right, the genocide that's going on, right?
They say that there's no way to compare the number of maternal fatalities from childbirth and the ones from abortion because of drastically different procedures. Oh my God! But also, a lot of the abortions occur when the baby is a lot smaller than a full-term baby.
Still,
and so
the procedure is still being done. But go ahead.
Yeah. And I did some other research. One of the places you can look for it is called protectingblacklife.org. And what I found is that Planned Parenthood, anywhere from 62 to 79% of their clinics, depending on how you count what counts as a heavily minority area, but they tend to put those clinics in major inner city areas where there's either high blacks or heavily Hispanic, or ideally try to put it in an area right in dead center between black community, Hispanic community, and a college area. But they try to find the highest density of minority in a minority community in those areas, and they strategically put their clinic somewhere where it's about a 2-mile radius from near the edges of the concentrated demographic area that they're targeting, and they also put it along a major public transportation route. And they can't do that for every clinic because they can't have every clinic in a minority area because that just wouldn't look right. But still, even if they have clinics in like rich white or Asian areas, they're very sure to make sure there's ample public transportation to
those things.
Now, if you look at where the one is in Moreno Valley, near Frederick, and is it over by Cottonwood?
Yeah, Frederick and Eucalyptus.
Oh, Eucalyptus. Yeah, okay, yeah. Major cross streets are Frederick and Eucalyptus. Well, if you go on Google Earth and draw a 2-mile radius circle around it, that covers almost all of Edgemont and most of the middle of Moreno Valley.
Sunnymead area.
Yeah, but it stops short of Sunnymead Ranch, and it stops short of the far east part of Moreno Valley where the ranch houses are. Yep. So, and of course, that Frederick is a huge thoroughfare for the bus system. So,
man, makes sense, huh?
Yeah, and then, but also of interest is that the courts, Planned Parenthood recently, a few years ago, lobbied for a law that would require adoption agencies and pregnancy crisis centers that are basically pro-life to push to provide information about abortions. But it's like everyone knows where to find Planned Parenthood by themselves. But they're not here for an abortion. They're there to look for alternatives. But they had. Planned Parenthood had lobbied for this law that would require the people that hate to push all these desperate mothers to have an abortion anyways. And
sad. It's sad.
But right now, a court has froze that order
for now.
And but Javier Becerra, the Attorney General, who's got lots of campaign funding from Planned Parenthood,
of course,
and is the one that's behind the prosecution of the Center for Medical Progress for the investigative videos.
Of course.
He is expected to appeal it. But
very, very sad.
Yeah. So since Roe versus Wade was passed, it's estimated that about 87 million black babies alone have been killed.
Now you add that number. You said 87 million.
Yeah.
You add that number at 87 million to the number of black on black crime. I bet you that thing goes up 100 million people since Roe versus Wade.
I don't know. Right now, by far, abortion is by far the biggest killer of black people over black and black crime, any homicide, any medical issue, heart disease, cancer, whatever.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
It doesn't even come close to the number of abortions.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is basically you add that 87 million with all the black people and black on black crime that has happened since Roe versus Wade. It's almost close to 100 million because you're still dealing with black on black. Not in all situations, but...
I'm saying 18 million.
Oh, 18 million. I'm sorry. Okay, so it would still go over 20 million. You base that in there. And what I'm saying is, in most of the cases, I would think that, blacks are procreating with other blacks. So you add those numbers in, it's still, to me, if they're aborting like that, it still would be a black on black crime, in my opinion.
Basically.
So,
and
very sad.
And Planned Parenthood makes at least $150 million a year off of this.
What a surprise. Anything that is done they're making money off of black people every which way. They put us in prison. Somebody's making money off of that. The prison industrial complex. The Clintons are big on making money off of black people.
Yeah, I've been accused of being racist more times than I can count.
Everybody's racist.
Pay attention to that anymore.
Yeah, everybody's racist though.
Just because I don't follow the narrative doesn't mean I don't care. I mean, yeah, Black Lives Matter. Let's start with not doing business with Planned Parenthood anymore.
There you go. We
don't need big protests outside these clinics. We just need people to say, "Hey, don't deal with them. They don't care about you. All they care about is money. They don't care about."
Well, how about this? So let's take it from inside the home. Do not have sex unless you're ready to have sex. Do not have a baby unless you're ready to have a baby. Be responsible. What happened to personal responsibility? It's like that's out the window. It's everybody else's fault, no matter what you do. Well, that's the white guy's fault. Every time I hear that from my own people, I get upset for the simple fact that I always ask them, well, what white person or this person, what is their name? Where do they live? How are they stopping you from getting an education for yourself? How you keep saying that these people are holding you back? Who are these people? Because what they're doing is a crime. There are so many programs out there to help minorities, black, white, brown, Asian, whatever. I actually feel bad for some of the white folks that can't take advantage of some of these programs because they don't meet the thing. But I know now things are trying to trend it and they're reversing it. They're calling it reverse racism, which I think is ridiculous. But however, what I'm saying is basically personal responsibility would take care of a lot of
Personally, I think they need to quit doing any type of ethnic-based services and to switch to economic to solve the issue of any racist.
Well, my man Trump is going to take care of all that, and he's going to make the hood great again. So if you've been on welfare for a lifetime, those days are over, because with that new tax cut that came out today, he is slashing everything across the board. And the only people that are upset are the people who live a lifestyle like that. Very sad. Very sad.
But we're getting off in a little bit of a
no, go ahead. Good. Yeah.
But the thing is that I want to see the black community succeed. I mean, it's part of our community.
Sure.
We're not, unless you're living in like a gated community with your own security guards. I mean, the black community is not like some
far off place. It's far off place.
You're not removed from it.
Right.
And just the whole concept of telling these kids that, just have an abortion, they're just going to grow up and cause crime and go to jail, and they're keeping you back from going to school or whatever, and just saying that these babies are a burden. That's
we have to change our thinking.
Up to make basically you're teaching these kids that their babies are just disposable to start off with,
right? Or the babies are just, they'll ruin your life. Period. So
yeah, no one's ever they're not saying like, okay, if you raise them to the best of your ability, find help raising them, teach them that they can be something in life. Okay,
let me ask you this, Sean. It's good. We're not going on a tangent. It's just a question in regards to what you're saying. How can we raise a child when you are automatically, I got pregnant and I'm already at a disadvantage because I live in the hood, or my mom was on welfare. Now I followed in that same pattern. I made one mistake and they keep slashing benefits and stuff. So how am I going to survive if there's no social blanket to help me?
That is a bit of that is my only concern about the tax cut, is that,
churches can only do so much,
Well, churches are also, like in the example of the hurricane relief, churches are doing the majority of the effort as it is. I mean, private charity has gotten better at mobilizing to help people than. Yeah,
but I wish corporation charity would with all the money that they make at our expense, would do a little bit more for the social, for those that are disadvantaged. But go ahead.
Yeah. Having a social safety net to actually help people
that want to help, that want to be helped.
Yeah, the difference between I'm drawing a difference between welfare and a safety net.
Sure.
I'm talking about a safety net for people that fall on hard times and are trying to get off of it, or for people that for some reason have shown that they're medically unable to work, because it's also just as bad for a society to have disabled people begging in the streets.
Right, begging in the streets.
And
gosh, very sad.
But anyways, we do need the social net, but we also need these families to tell their kids, like,
responsible.
Get their kids to stop having babies out of wedlock and whatnot, but also teach them that their kids can be something, and they need to push their kids to be something. And
when you say be something, unfortunately, a lot of teachers go, you could be a football star, you could be a basketball player. There's other, let's be realistic. Not everybody's going to be an athlete. Not everybody's going to be an entertainer. We need more doctors. You can never have enough doctors. You can never have enough nurses. You can never have enough teachers. You can have enough, and that's a good living thing. So let's start being realistic with our children.
Even the way some of these communities are, just getting them to grow up and learn a trade and be stable parents would be an awesome start.
I really feel that they should go back to compulsory military service. Everybody, male and female, should be doing 2 years upon graduation of high school. I really do believe that.
That would be good.
Because it'll give some people some directions, and we'd have a trained and armed society.
Yeah.
So,
but still, we don't need the big protests to stop the abortion and the black genocide and the genocide in general. If people would just say, don't go there. There's other options. Your kid can be something. They don't care about you. All they care about is the abortion and getting money from you or from a government agency. I think California subsidizes it now, like for example. They don't care about you. They don't care about providing you any care afterwards. They tell you to go to the emergency room and lie about whatever
happened or how you got there.
To cover up the fact that the abortion
was a botched job.
Yeah, they blew it. There's so many, and I do have concerns about how we're going to handle the increase in the number of kids, but I don't think that killing them is the option. Killing them off and telling the kid, their teenage parents, that they were just going to be worthless to begin with. I mean, that's not a good message to.
Unfortunately, in the black community, there's a lot of apathy. Nothing will change. We elect these black politicians. They are silent on that. Speaking, you can give them that, and they'll be like, "Well, it is the way it is." Al Sharpton, all these people are charlatans, and it's very sad that, again, which is to me another form of black on black crime. We elect these people that look like us, and they do worse than the white politicians that are elected as well. So it's like we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. So it's a very, very sad situation. So. But that's a good number, and we're going to continue to talk about that number. Is there anything else that kind of goes on there? You had a 2 mile. Oh yeah, you already got that. Okay.
Yeah. So the website I listed is called protectingblacklife.org.
.org. Gotcha.
And I don't have the phone number handy.
Well, we'll put it up on the thing later on.
Well, for a local resource, there is Riverside Life Services. I don't have their phone number handy, but they provide pregnancy crisis counseling and options to abortion. I believe near the Planned Parenthood in Reno Valley, I believe there's another like adoption center or something that may be able to provide help. But don't quote me on that because I haven't contacted them personally.
Sure. And it's very sad that even in adoption, because of the rules that we have here, it's very hard to adopt because it's just
unfortunately,
crazy.
It's cheaper and easier to get abortion than
or it's cheaper to go to China to adopt a baby over there, or in Somalia, these failed countries, or whatever. You can get a child and do that. Like I said, you see these big movie stars, they're going over to Africa, Madonna. It's like you have babies here in the United States that are waiting to be adopted, and you went all the way over to Somalia to go get a baby, and it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Not saying that baby doesn't deserve to be loved too, but you should take care of home before you go abroad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my thought about it. So, I mean, in its end result, what do you think if somebody had a question on, what they should do? Is there anything you would recommend in your studies that would tell them, hey, counseling type or? A
lot of churches would be willing to provide advice. I know the Grove Community Church has people they could talk to. I think Sandal says a lot of the big churches that have offices that are open regularly would probably be able to help. Sure. Like I said, there's Riverside Life Services.
Right. The county always has resources. Look in the phone book. You can find resources in the county. As a matter of fact, the VA has services. I mean, not that you have to be a veteran, but if not, they can refer you to where you need to go. So that's some big news, Sean. Like I said, that's our first hour. Going into it, like I said, we're here every Thursday, 6 o'clock. Thank you guys for the numbers. Thank you guys for joining us. Please like and share. Sean is always giving us information and coming up with the mental health and staying on top of that. This is our first hour. We're going to go into the second hour real quick because we've got some information on the national level that we need to get out. So you guys just stand by for that. Again, one of our co-hosts, Tay Wilder, she recently got engaged. We wish her well. She is a avid listener. Mighty Mad Max, she's running around wild in the Inland Empire. She's doing very, very well. Demetra K has a show on Facebook Live at 3 p.m. You guys check it out. And, of course, our new podcast is Daryl Terrell's 2 Cents. You guys check it out. It's a quick 15-minute idea and thought that Daryl has to keep you encouraged during the week. You guys stand by. We're going to be right back after we pay a few bills.
can achieve. Sometimes everything higher than the others believe. I'm not a doctor, not a poet, I don't have a degree. That arrogant, egotistical